For everyone starting to learn HTML or CSS, you should start creating at least a basic form. And that's why I'm going to show you how to create this simple modern form using HTML and CSS. First off, we shall open our File Explorer. We navigate to Desktop and then go to our folder, Tutorials. We shall create a new folder and we shall call our folder Modern Login Form. So after creating this folder, we shall open our Visual Studio Code, go to Open Folder. We navigate to our desktop. Inside the folder Tutorials, we open our folder and select Folder. So after this, we shall create a new file. We call it index.html and then also create another file that we shall call styles.css. So let's start with the index.html. Press Shift ! To create HTML structure, and then we shall change the title to Modern Login Form. Below the title, we shall link our CSS, which is styles.css. So after that, we shall head straight to the body. We shall create a div, give it class login container. And inside the login container, we shall create a form and we give it a class of login form. We don't have any form action here since it's entirely front end. So within the form, we shall create a heading and just give it the name login form. Then below the heading, we shall create another div. This time we give it a class of input group. And then we shall create the labels. The first label is for username and we shall call it username. And below the label, we shall have input. Type is text. Name is username. And then let's make it required. So after that, we shall copy again the same input group here. Just highlight it and copy and paste it. But then we shall change the label to password. Change this to password as well. And then the type is also password. The name is password and it's as well required. And then below this div, we shall create a submit button. So let's just write the button and call it login. Let's give our button a type, submit. So let's right click and open with Live Server. You can see that's the form that we have currently. It's time to style this form. So let's open it side by side. So we go to styles.css. Let's start with the body. We give it a font family, Arial, sans serif. We give it a background color, F4, F4, F4. We give it a margin 0 and padding 0. Then we justify content center and then align items center. Then give it a height of 100 vertical height. Add here a display of flex. When you expand this, you can see our form is now at the center. Let's go on. So when we go back to our HTML, our next class is login container. So I'm going to copy that class. Go to our CSS, login container. Let's give it a background color of white, padding of 20 pixels, border radius. Let's give it 8 pixels. Let's give it box shadow 0, 0, 10 pixels, RGBA brackets 0, 0, 0.1. Add another 0 there. Then after styling the login container, our next class is login form. So let's style the form itself. We copy that class, paste it there. So the form, we shall give it a display of flex, and then we give it a flex direction column. And then the next class we shall have is input group. So we're gonna copy that. We shall give it a margin bottom, 15 pixels. And then let's style the label. We shall give it font weight. Let's make it bold. And then the input itself, so the input tag. We give it padding of 8 pixels, border radius 4 pixels, border 1 pixels, solid CC. We give it a width of 100%. And then box sizing, we give it border box. Alright, now the last thing we are left with is the button. So the button, let's give it a padding of 8 pixels as well. We give it a border none. We give it a border radius of 4 pixels as well. Let's give it a background color, a light blue, which is 007BF, and then let's give it a color of white, which is FFF, and cursor pointer. And then lastly, let's style button hover, and we shall simply just give it a background color. So we shall do 005-6B3. So you can see that's the hover color. So ladies and gentlemen, that's basically our simple login form, and it is a basic form that you should start with before you start creating fancy forms. So let's look at the code one more time. So we have our HTML that basically has two inputs, which is just here, which is just 25 lines of code. Then we have our CSS to style the form on just simply 45 lines of code, and you'll come up with something like this, very simple. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.